Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at Solana, see what's going on. This coin's looking pretty solid, but again, you got to keep in mind most coins are looking the same right now because Bitcoin took off, testing its $100,000 resistance range. Keep in mind, Bitcoin is looking pretty solid. It has three potential scenarios here. A retest of 95,000, roughly. That's the worst case scenario. We got that bullish backtest already. That's basically where we took our long position. And we can see here about potential for range bound here. So we could very well see Bitcoin run into a bullish type of rectangle pattern, or it just continues to break resistance, retest as a support, comes up here to sweep 103, 104,000 for that liquidation. So again, I know this isn't a Bitcoin analysis. Don't roll your eyes too much. The reason we check this is because we need to know what Bitcoin's doing in order to trade altcoins successfully. So if you look at that and you look at Solana, it's lagging behind, but it's trying to make up the difference too here with the last couple of candles. So pretty good stuff. We're traveling into our resistance range too here as well, 197 to 203. So we're right in the middle of that. So we'll see here soon if that is broken. And I'll talk about best practice for situations like this here. But now that short-term liquidation has been swept, we can go ahead and remove that. Let's take a quick look at the back-end data and kind of see what's going on. Quick congrats to our community members here for some nice profits on our Bitcoin long, 31%. We got in at 95.8, I think it was, and then a Dogecoin too as well for a good 22% there. So awesome stuff. Let's take a quick look at Solana's price action. And you're probably scratching your head. You're like, wait, why didn't we take a long with Solana? Well, if you saw my analysis from yesterday, it still wasn't exuding the strongest behavior. It was underperforming Bitcoin. And generally speaking, when coins are doing that, I don't like to trade them. Like, for example, if you saw Dogecoin, my Dogecoin analysis, you'll recognize that Dogecoin was extremely bullish on pretty much every single time frame, where Solana was not quite there, right? Again, I like to trade with confirmation. I don't like to take longs into resistance ranges. I like to make sure they're broken first. In this case, it has been broken within reason. And what I mean by that is that local liquidation here at 192 to 195, that has been swept. So I mentioned this in my trade alert too yesterday from my community. Just if you're going to take a long with Solana, just watch it close. Simple as that. Now it may be a little bit different of a story. We're traveling into that resistance range. We break above 200 soundly, then we might be in a pretty good position. But there's not a lot of liquidation minus this local range here of like 199 to 202 that people are shorting now at this exact moment that we need to really worry about. Okay, so nothing super substantial. So I think once we hit this 201, 202 mark, we may actually see the price pull back. But a lot of that depends on Bitcoin. Okay, and when I say pull back, I don't mean going to zero. Some people seem to think that you can either go to the moon or to the zero. there's a lot of middle ground, so please recognize that too. I'm not a moon boy. I never claimed to be, and I never will be. But some coins can move pretty fast, pretty quick sometimes. But Solana isn't in a position right now where we should expect that. If it continues to outperform Bitcoin in the next 24 hours, then it might be a different story, right? But so far, Solana, the last week's worth of trading, roughly, it's been very underwhelming, if you will. It's not very good. As far as the price action is concerned. It could be different today. We're going to identify that. Anyways, liquidation delta, it's bullish. Every coin's going to exude very similar behaviors here today, where it just kind of spikes up here. So this is still too early. In other words, you don't short into this kind of volume. So I do not recommend shorting at resistance just because it's resistance. There's every other contributing factor letting us know the price is likely to go higher. So it doesn't make any sense to do that. At this point, just from a bird's eye view, we haven't looked at the charts just yet. But if I were to, I would pretty much just say here that it makes a lot more sense taking a long than a short because the overall trend is up. Okay, you don't short into an uptrend, and you don't take a long into a downtrend. As simple as that. Again, you'll find some success every once in a while, and you're going to seem to think that that's how it works. But the truth is, you're going to get bitten a lot more often if you play with snakes, right? That's just kind of how it works. So take a look here, 185 to 187, open interest here locally. That's where a lot of people are long. Kudos to them. That's essentially, those were breakout trades though. So hindsight, if you're in profit at that scenario, that was kind of a bit of a gamble taking along into that. But again, it had broken through its resistance range at 185 at that point. So I do understand the merit there, right? We broke the descending trend line. We were above the 20-day SMA. There's some positive stuff there from yesterday. It just wasn't fully confirmed. So, okay, let's take a look here. When we take a look on the daily time frame, we got to recognize that, again, Solana is not out of the woods yet. If we take a peek here, we can basically, I'll leave that up here. But if you can kind of see, there is a 20-day SMA right there at 196 and the 50-day SMA at 210. So those are key level, I wouldn't say resistances, but just to keep it simple, they work as such in most cases. Just kind of letting us know the overall trend, right? So with us being below those tentatively, because we haven't officially closed today on the daily, that's generally not construed as a positive sign, right? So we want to make sure that, when we're back up above it, that's when we have more confidence. As you can see, the price action come up here to the 50-day SMA before. Didn't really like that so much. It kind of pulled back, right? Same thing here as well. If we come up to the 50, we want to make sure that we are able to hold above 210 or higher, okay? That would feel much better taking along at 210 than it would right now. Again, that's just me personally. I'm a bit more of a conservative trader. We can see here, we haven't fully broken 50 on the RSI as well, generally construed as I wouldn't say this is a bearish sign, it's just not bullish to be below it, right? So please recognize that. Money flow index is kind of right there with it, but MACD is starting to converge. So a lot of this, based on the fact that I feel like Bitcoin is going to continue higher with a slight potential for a little bit of a retracement, I feel like Solana's back on track. But again, take that with a grain of salt, because once more, the daily time frame isn't super bullish. It's kind of like neutral to bearish, but it's breaking bullish, if that makes any sense. 4-hour time frame, kind of recognize this here as well. A lot of confluence here. This is good. Now that we're above this should be a new support range for us. Once more, I mentioned that point of control at 186. We can see the 20 and the 50-day SMA kind of hanging out right there at the 186 to 190 range. So that is the new support range for us. If the price does end up pulling back, it would make sense for the price to pivot off one of those levels. Okay, it could be here, could be here, could even be just this local fair value gap at 191. Okay, because again, the price moved up pretty quick. Oftentimes those fair value gaps can get filled. But as you can see, they don't always get filled, right? So don't put a ton of emphasis on that. Just note that's a good consideration for entry if the price pulls back. RSI we can recognize here as well. We're getting closer to an overextended state. If you look at Bitcoin, it's right there at 70, and it's kind of hanging out for the moment. It'll either break out and take off and not look back, or it's going to consolidate for a little bit, let the RSIs cool down, and effectively reset, so to speak, at a better price point. All that being said, we still got some room for growth here. This is very much a positive sign. So the 4-hour time frame is like 90% awesome for Solana. I like what I see here. So that's generally gives me a lot more confidence. Again, I'll take trades all day long with the macro, the daily time frame, still looking moderately bearish, even if the 4-hour and the hourly time frame look bullish, right? The main reason why is because an hourly, 4 1-hour time frames basically tells us that that's a strong 4-hour candle, right? And the same thing with 4-hour candles. We get 6 of those, that makes it a 1 day. So we got some really good confluence here on the 4-hour time frame. That's really a positive sign that'll translate into a good solid daily closure, okay? And that's what we're looking for here. But hourly time frame has no ifs, ands, or buts here. This is a pretty much 100% guaranteed. No reason to consider a short, and a long is a much more viable option. So as far as taking longs is concerned, here's what you want to think about. We can see a lot of consistency here at this 192 mark, right? So if you look here, not just based on it being a 0.5 fib level, that's coincidental, but also nice. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 attempts to break that level previously, and now it broke straight through the first time coming up. So if I were to be a gambling man, which I'm not, but if I were to gamble as to whether the price, when it comes down, how far down will it go? This seems like a very solid or realistic pivot point, the 192, 193 range, based on that being a previous resistance, and oftentimes those are retested as support. You could even argue too, because if you zoom in a little bit further here, you can see that it tried to come back down to test that, but didn't quite come close. So I'm speculating we're going to see a slight pullback to the low 190s, and then should retest its local local resistance range, this macro resistance, and break through it. Okay, so that seems like a very sensible direction, pending Bitcoin doesn't do some kind of crazy obnoxious, run to like 95, 92K or something crazy. Okay, pending we don't see anything stupid from Bitcoin, Solana's really definitely back on track here. So again, minus the caveat of the daily time frame not being super awesome just yet, I'd much rather a long at 210, if you will. I still like what I see from the smaller time frames. That would incentivize me to want to take a long if the price pulls back to the low 190s. Okay, so that's kind of what we're thinking there. Overall, looking pretty decent though, folks. Congratulations again if you're in profit. I'm super happy I was able to add to my position in the I did 175 and 185 were my limit orders for my spot bag, so super cool with that. And at this point, if we get them back down to the 190s, maybe another consideration there. But for the moment, based on leverage, I think that we got a decent amount of support between 185 and 193. Okay. I'll post our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. If you're a part of my community, you'll get some trade alerts here soon, of course, kind of giving you a heads up on what I'm planning to do with this coin. And then last but not least, too, again, congrats to our committee for some nice profits on Bitcoin and Doge. Thank you so much for just the phenomenal feedback from my community. You're all awesome. And yeah, it's definitely one of these today. Okay. All right, folks. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.